I was born and raised in a very legalistic church. We were going to church 3 times a week. I went to a private school. Then my family moved to Stowe when I was 11 years old, and we started going to a church up here. It was a non-denominational church, similar to Redemption, and that is where I feel like I first encountered Christ.
I grew up as a Creaster, which is going to church Christmas and Easter. So I knew who God was, but I did not have a relationship with him. Josh and I started dating when I was 15 and you were 17. Mm-hmm. And we met through mutual friends. And I kind of went to church with a friend to try and see Josh. So that was kind of where our relationship started with God.
So our relationship was kind of founded in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to youth groups together. I think for our 6-month anniversary, I bought Jenna her first Bible. Mm-hmm. It was definitely a part of our relationship mm-hmm. then.
And that night I was saved, the night you got me the Bible.
Committing your life to Jesus, it was something I'd grown up with. I'd been a part of. I'd seen people do. It was an exciting moment for her and I. Turns out, in the long story, God would use that to bring me back to him.
So after high school, we bought a house, and we continued to go to church. We were going pretty regularly at that point. We wanted to get married, obviously, and we went to get married at the church we were going to at the time, and kind of told us no. They were like, not quite. We were living together, so they had some rules against that.
I was very immature in my faith. Even though I'd grown up in it, it was still very surface level. So when I was confronted with a hard truth, which is what we were confronted with, it's a truth, but it was very hard for a 20-year-old kid who felt like I was doing everything right to be told that I was doing something wrong. And that moment for me, I blamed God. I felt if God couldn't accept our relationship and who we were, then I didn't need him. And that began a 10-year span of basically living outside of God.
We were married in 2008. Miranda was born in 2009. And then Landon came in 2012. And then Savannah 2017. And Liviana 2019. So during that 10 years, Josh was struggling with anxiety and I would say drinking and just kind of partying along that side. And since I, had babies during those times, I kind of had to scale back a little bit on things. And I definitely started seeking God a little bit more on my own. I was just praying more. I was definitely craving more than what we had going on. I just went to Josh and told him, we're going to go to church tomorrow, and we're going to the one up the road. I feel pulled to this church, and I want to go check it out. And he was like, okay, I'm not going to send you off by yourself. I'm going to come with you guys.
I didn't want my wife to be at church with our 2 children while her hungover husband was on the couch watching football. She picked Redemption because she had got on the website, and
I looked up the dress code, and it said that we don't care what you wear, but you must wear clothes. And I was like, yep, that's my church. That's for me. We fell in love with it right away. I mean, I did anyway.
She did.
I fell in love with it right away. Josh was okay with it because it was pretty casual. So I think he was like, okay, I can do this. So it went well. And then I think I slowly started asking a lot of questions and just kind of getting him to talk a little bit more. Cause I didn't grow up in a church background. So I had a ton of questions so I was going to him with those. And it kind of forced him to have to open his Bible a little bit to answer some questions with me. And
it kind of started the natural cycle of, what Redemption has always preached with the no, grow, go. I didn't want to go to church, but I would go with her, and I began to know Jesus for who Jesus was. And I began through conversations because at the time, we'd sit in the long line waiting to get out of the parking lot, and, she would ask about the service. And I'm like, oh, so we got to talk about this? I went with you. And, Sunday after Sunday for probably 2 years span, she would drag me there. And eventually it got to the point where I could see a change in her. I could see, the way she talked to me, the way she talked to our kids. She had changed. And one day I was in my truck going to work, doing everything I thought I should be doing. And I felt just stress and pressure and anxiety with kids, the house, and I felt like I was losing it. If I made one wrong decision, it would all crumble. And I just started scrolling through the radio, and I came across The Fish, and the song by Matt Maher, Lord, I Need You, was on. And I just started crying in my truck. It was a moment when I was reminded that it wasn't all on me. And again, for the first time in probably 10 years, I felt a peace and like I could rely on someone else other than my ability. Because I wasn't good enough. I was not strong enough. I could not handle what life was throwing at me.
Just the toxic lifestyle that we were created, it just wasn't good, and we needed God, and I think God just pulled me in. And I go back to that moment in his car where he gave me my first Bible and I was saved. And I think that at that moment, God said, I'm never giving up on you. Like, we're going to be here forever.
And it was phenomenal, through those 10 year of me leaving the church and leaving a relationship with God, finding out that, she had continued praying through that time, and just how faithful God was in that time.
Yeah, I started up going to women's Bible study, and I think I was the first one to do something within the church, and then I think that propelled him to be interested in some of the stuff going on.
She encouraged me to get involved with the church, and the idea of church being more than just Sunday morning was still new to me. I agreed to do the men's Bible study.
We got baptized in 2018, so that was really exciting for me.
Yeah.
And it was very awesome to witness Josh also. God has truly shown me his faithfulness.
Yeah.
We should have flopped. We should have failed.
It's remarkable because looking back, I wanted to take credit for her salvation. And I think God used Jenna as a conduit to draw me back to him, all those years later, and for our family's sake. Hi, we're the Dujanovics.
And this is our redemption story.